Season 1 of Severance is beyond good. I would go so far as to say it's the best thing that's hit television in the past 5 years. And it's finally back for Season 2 after well over 2 years. I've been waiting with bated breath for Season 2, going out of my way to track updates and follow the show's production timeline. But I feel like most people forgot about it. Apple TV Plus has always had a hard time marketing their shows, but I've seen next to nothing advertised for Season 2. It's been reported by Bloomberg that Apple TV has invested over $20 billion in original programming and has not recuperated on that investment, so they're going to pull back on spending. And if they're just pulling back on marketing, fine. But if they cancel the show after Season 2, I will personally stage a riot. Ben Stiller, the show's executive producer and director, has said that he's already begun work on Season 3. So please, Apple TV gods, let us at least finish the show. It is too good to abandon. But those are thoughts for another day, because just this Thursday, we fans were finally given a new episode of Severance. And it feels like the show didn't miss a beat. I do think the first 15-ish minutes of the show where Mark is given a new team felt slightly off. Like, there was so much momentum at the end of Season 1, and bringing things back to basics halted it a bit, but everything after, when the original team comes back into the office, is just pure gold. It's so eerie to see all the reforms that Lumen is trying to make, trying to spin the innies getting out as a positive for the company, portraying them as superheroes to the cause, and pillars of what success at Lumen looks like. I could see any big corporate tech company trying to do this, trying to convince the public that they're in control of these rogue employees, and it was actually a wake-up call to the executives that their employees needed to be treated better. And they intro this idea through a training video that they tell the OG gang will be shown to all new employees, and that's when I started to remember how many unknowns there are in this show. Because I personally, after seeing that, feel like there's no way they'd ever show that video to new employees. It's just way too personal to those 4 characters in the room, and it would make absolutely no sense as a training guide. Part of the unknown here is that Lumen could just be showing this video to these 4 employees to try and calm them, make them believe that the company is reforming without actually enacting true change. And because Mark, Dylan, Helly, and Irving are so sheltered, they may be more inclined to believe something like this when compared with their more rational Audi counterparts. But Lumen knows that they need to make amends, and Mr. Milicic drops a nuke after showing that video. He tells the gang that they can choose whether or not they want to stay at Lumen, which is a power that they as employees are not used to. They, as innies, get to make this decision, not their Audis. And at first this seems like a nice gesture from Lumen, but like everything else in this show, there's always another side to the coin. I personally think that Lumen knows that the entire gang will stay. It's not as simple as hanging up their hat and leaving the office like Lumen wants them to think. These characters would effectively be dying if they left the office and never came back. Their innie counterparts would cease to exist if they left Lumen for good. And with all the budding mysteries and romances at play between these characters, there's no way they would choose to leave just having learned so much more about this world around them. Each severed person in this show is effectively 2 people, and the innies aren't going to make decisions like this if it means giving up their lives and the ability to be around their friends. But by Lumen making this gesture, it does appeal to their good nature on the surface, and the characters can't necessarily see through this because it's tangled with their primal sense of existing. I thought that twist was brilliant, and for a second I did think Irving would leave, but I'm glad he stayed. The conversation that follows this choice is really what most fans have been waiting for, where all of our main characters get to reveal to each other what they saw on the outside. And I was expecting Mark to reveal the bombshell about his wife. I never thought he would keep that a secret from Helly, but I was not expecting Helly to lie about what she saw on the outside. My jaw was on the floor for that one. It's obvious that Helly is so embarrassed about her Audi counterpart, and I'm sure she doesn't want her friends judging her for basically being a part of why they're so oppressed. But the attention shifts away from her quickly, and Irving leaves the room, clearly very emotional about something. He and Dylan have a chat about Bert, and he really just wants to leave Lumen and essentially end his life right then and there. Let's not forget that when Bert was retiring last season, Irving was the one that looked at it like he was dying, so he knows that leaving Lumen means his consciousness will cease to exist. Luckily, Dylan snaps him out of it and he remains in the show, but he might be suffering from that emotional withdrawal for the rest of the season. As Dylan and Irving are chatting, Mark and Helly get to catch up, and Helly tries to stay supportive about Mark's wife on the outside, but you can see that she's torn about it. She doesn't know if any Mark will end up catching feelings for Miss Casey, or if this changes the way that they feel about each other right now. Her life has been turned upside down in so many ways that I'd imagine she's probably just on autopilot right now and will deal with the consequences later. But luckily, our main cast stays in the show and they all continue on at Lumen, at least for now. I wonder if the offer is open for them to leave at any time or if it was just a one-time thing. But outside of that main sequence, we do get some other teasers for what's to come. Mr. Milicic shows Dylan that they're working on a family visitation room where he, as an innie, will be able to meet and interact with his Audi's family. This is another gesture from Lumen that makes Dylan feel as if they're trying, and it obviously means something to him because he doesn't immediately bring it up to his friends. Lumen is likely trying to pit them against each other, or at least appeal to their own separate motivations. I can't tell if Mr. Milicic actually wants some reform or if it's all just a tactic, but I thought his frustration with the computer screen showing Miss Cobell's name was a great touch to depict his own unhappiness rather than just telling us about it. There's also a teenage girl working in the office now. I'm not sure what that's about. And then there's obviously the new team that Mark gets introduced to at the beginning of the episode. I doubt these are just small roles that we'll only see in that first episode. I think they'll become important as the show moves along. These characters had two distinctive personalities to be throwaway characters, and it'll be interesting to see if these smaller pods of workers ever cross paths and unite. There are just so many variables in this show. I've never seen something with so many branching possibilities, and the concept for the show is so unique. I think it's truly special. But what did you think? Do you think that Severance is back and better than ever, or do you think that it lost its momentum after being off the air for over 2 years? Let me know in the comments. Please also like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll definitely be making a review of the whole season when it ends, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.